Today I'm going to demonstrate how I like to ink with a Noodler's Konrad. So this Konrad has been filled with Atrementis document turquoise, and I'm going to be inking on watercolor paper. This is a final waterproof water fastness test, and if you're interested in those sort of tests, you can check out my sub Tumblr Once Upon a Time, which is co-run with my friend Kabocha, who is also interested in fountain pens, although more so interested in the inks than in the pens themselves. I think we make a pretty good duo. I just realized I didn't finish drawing in her hand, so I will quickly sketch that out and begin inking with this Konrad. So recently on nattosoup.blogspot.com, my main blog, oh wow, look at that feather out. Bad news. It's a shame I tested this on a watercolor paper before, but there may have just been some water stuck in there. It seems to be working a little bit better now. Glad it feathered on the hair and not on the face, although I have a feeling, look at that, I have a feeling it's going to be a real problem. And I should point out that that's an issue not with the pen itself, which I use for a lot of these waterproof tests, but rather it's something going on with the ink and the paper. Not all fountain pen inks behave well on watercolor paper. That's one of the reasons why I run some of the tests that I do to help determine how useful some of these inks are for watercolor artists. So I'm actually glad I finally got an ink that's well, I get plenty of inks that are misbehaving, but I'm kind of glad it's misbehaving at this stage. It's going to ruin this drawing, which is a shame because this is a really cute sketch of my character Kara with a minnow she caught looking awful proud. It's going to ruin that, but it's going to be a good demonstration because Atrementis Document Yellow, which is one of the other Atrementis inks that I have already inked and tested, and you can check out on Once Upon a Time, didn't give me these sort of problems. This is the first time I've encountered this issue with a Atrementis document ink. And I already did a sub-test where I just tested it on fluid watercolor paper, a big chunk of it, and I was mainly just testing for water solubility. And this feathering issue wasn't present there either, so it's probably an issue with the paper. Although it may, to be honest, have happened with Document Yellow, and I just didn't notice because Document Yellow is so light. It's much more apparent here with Document Turquoise. Something else that can be happening is I just did the dishes, so my hands are actually quite hot. And sometimes that can affect some of the properties in your inks. So there's actually a couple of factors that could be at play for why this ink is misbehaving. But just given how much it's feathering here, I would say this is probably not your first choice if you are looking for a fountain pen ink for your art. And I know my evangelizing, see how much I'll actually zoom way in so y'all can really see. I know my evangelizing for fountain pens as a artist tool has been working because Goulet Pens just did a Q&A video on pigment ink and using ink for watercolors. A shout out would be pretty baller, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I will continue my testing, and hopefully I can convert more artists to fountain pens. I wish, like I said, I am happy that we're having kind of a worst case scenario happening here on camera, and I'm going to persist anyway. But I wish, since we're demonstrating the Noodler's Konrad, I wish it wasn't feathering out quite so much, so that you guys could actually notice when I'm laying down a thicker line due to flex, as opposed to when there's a thicker line unintentionally because of bleed. And at least doing this on camera for you guys to see is sort of makes the pain of it not going super well in terms of bleed worthwhile. Actually, now that I think about it, I think it was also bleeding. I'd have to double check, but I think it was doing the same thing in my Lectotherm journal, which is a paper that usually plays exceedingly well with fountain pens. I've only